Hi everybody, this is Dr. Swanson, again with another video for you to help you through this class. Topic 2 is strategic writing and public relations. Topic 1 set you up with the important frame of mind and concept skills you need to begin work as a public relations writer. Now, in topic 2, we'll begin to practice those concepts and skills in earnest. So you'll need to, you'll need to rely on the step-by-step writing process structure that you read about in topic 1. So don't just take what you learned in topic 1 and dump it. That step-by-step writing process is really important, and you need to follow that throughout the work in this class and in your future as a public relations writer. Solo assignments in the topic 2 area, news release and the backgrounder. I use these assignments because they are essential to what public relations writers do. These two documents, the news release and the backgrounder, are the core of what we write in this profession. They are the balance of the art and the craft. The art being the way you develop phrases, the words you use, the left brain kind of stuff. That's the art. The structure is the right brain, how it all comes together, what the format looks like. That's the right brain stuff, So you've got to balance those, and the news release and the backgrounder will give you really good practice for that. The news release requires you to tell a persuasive and complete story with only a page of copy. So you've got to be creative and complete in that storytelling. You are writing to a busy journalist, media gatekeeper, who has very specific expectations for what news looks like. The point of the news release is to make the journalist's job easier while telling a very positive, accurate story for your client. So that's the balancing act that we have with the news release. The backgrounder is a fact piece where you're putting together the facts about your client. The backgrounder is not telling a new story, it's giving background that the journalist needs to tell the story about your client. So those two things are very important. Again, as discussed in the previous video, the art is the storytelling of public relations. The art in PR is choosing the right words, putting them in the right order to tell an informative or persuasive story. Sometimes students come into me and they bring in a document they've been working on, and maybe it was an assignment they submitted and I circled a word and I said, that's not the right word. And they'll come in and they'll say, well, what is the right word? There's a thesaurus full of words, Find one that's the right word, but that one's not it because that word doesn't mean what you think it means in the context that you used it. So, you're going to have to be creative and artistic here in this class. The craft part of public relations is the structure. If your news release isn't structured the way a news release is supposed to be structured, it won't get used. It'll show up to the media person and they'll go, gone. So art and craft have to work together, and it's a big part of this class to do that. Statistically speaking, 80% of the news releases sent to the media don't get used. 80% don't get used. They don't get used because, why? Well, I can tell you why, based on my years of experience as a person in a newsroom. 12 years exactly I worked in the news business. News releases don't get used because they violate AP style. They are about stories that our news media outlet doesn't cover. They're poorly written. They're unfocused. They don't look right. Or they're sent to the wrong person in the newsroom. Or sometimes they don't get used because something big happens, an earthquake or a fire or a flood or something like that. That's going to kick all the other stuff out of the news. But there are a lot of things under your control for why news releases don't get used. And so in this class, we want to read about that, we want to study those things, we want to think about them, and we want to act mindfully and create news releases that have the best opportunity of getting used. The news release, and in fact, all the assignments that you create in this class, they are supposed to look professional. They're not supposed to look like classroom assignments. I want to see stuff that looks like it would end up in the hands of a professional. That's what I expect in here. And because after all, if you're not creating stuff that would be good enough to send out, what are you doing here? I mean, this is not play school. We're serious here. And so I want to help you reach that point. We will do the news release as a draft assignment, meaning that you're going to submit a draft to me for minimal points. I'm going to look at it, mark it up, send it back to you with suggestions. You're going to do a final copy and send it back again. This gives you a chance to get more points. It also gives you experience on the feedback process, how that works. And so I think that's really important. And it's important that you take my thoughts into consideration when you get that draft back, because there have been times in the past when students don't even look at what I said in response to their draft, and they submit the same copy again as a final. I have no words. Why wouldn't you use my guidance to get more points? I don't know. So anyway, this is one of the few classes, and it may be the only class you ever take, where the instructor is going to urge you to get feedback from other people in the class. You know, there's no absolute right and wrong in terms of public relations writing. Well, there are very few. There are a few absolute right and wrongs. But for the most part, a news release could be presented a bunch of different ways, because it's all about the artistry, and different people would write in different ways. So that's why it's good to talk to others in this class about your work. Talk about your teamwork, certainly. Talk about your individual work. Share your work with each other. Brainstorm. Kick out ideas. You know, this is supposed to be a creative endeavor, and I'd like you guys to, you know, communicate with each other about that creativity. It's absolutely okay, because that's part of being mindful, is to get the opinion of other people. So anyway, on to some other issues. In Titanium, I have some content about photo manipulation. This is a topic very relevant to us these days in PR, so don't blow past that. You know, don't look at it and go, photo manipulation, that doesn't have anything to do with PR writing. Yes, it absolutely does. We live in a world where people think visually, and visual images very much they go along with the written word. I was going to use a word there, and it just didn't come out. Visual images go along with the written word. They complement it. There we go. Got that word out. And so there's a lot of ethical issues involved. And as a PR writer, you need to think ethically about visual images. And, you know, we're not going to do anything here with visual images aside from the social media assignment, but it's something you need to be thinking about as you work through this class. And for that matter, social media itself these days is so dangerous. It presents so many opportunities for public relations crisis. I mean, social media is great. It's also scary as hell. And I've got stuff in Titanium that talks about that. So on a happy note here, I'm going to leave you to do your work, because topic 2 is important. You need to spend a lot of time in this area, but I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. Is there anything I can help you with? Anything I can clarify? Put questions in the Q&A forum, and I will answer there to help you keep your GPS tuned to the destination you want to get to as you finish this class. Thank you.